Hi, welcome to the next episode of Breakthroughs Before Breakfast. My name's Clinton Swaine. I'm the owner and founder of Frontier Trainings. I'm at a course right now called Living Visionary Leadership, where we're discussing all about leadership. And if you want to find out more about why this is called Breakthroughs Before Breakfast, if you go back to episode number 1, I cover that in depth as one of the principles up here. So the principle I want to cover for you to have your breakthrough before breakfast is create a leadership image. What are you doing in the way you dress, the way you position yourself to stand out from everybody else, where clearly people recognize and acknowledge that you are the leader? How are you positioning yourself? Now, I love this particular distinction. One of the greatest lessons I got about it was going back to the time of George Washington. At the time, 1775, Continental Congress. They were all gathering around preparing who was going to become the general to lead the armies against the British. They were looking around, most of them dressed in their colonial outfits, their colonial suits, looking around and all. At that point there, the door opens and in walks George Washington. Now, George Washington was fighting on behalf of the British in the French and Indian Wars. He was responsible for making his own clothing and his own jackets because he was actually not part of the British Empire. He was associated to it as a militia unit from the from the United States. So George Washington comes in this splendid military outfit, walks to the middle of the room. They all walk around and go, okay, we need to have votes. Who is going to be the general of the armies? They look around and go, you. Now, George Washington was 6'3". At the time, they were talking 6'1", 6'2". When they measured him when he died, he was actually 6'3" to go into his coffin. He was a very tall man. At that time, most of them were a lot shorter. Why? Yeah, not as much hormones in all the food and meat and everything we eat nowadays. So there's a bigger contrast of heights. George Washington standing there, 6'3", resplendent in his military uniform. Everyone looks at him and goes, George should be our military leader. See, George understood by creating a leadership image, he could be voted by everybody else to be a leader with never having to ask for it. It means he didn't look like he was power hungry and greedy and wanted that position. Even though he walked in deliberately in his military costume in the middle where they were making a decision specifically for the general, he looked the part, he stood the part, he owned the part, and when they pointed to him, he was like, I will reluctantly accept your commission as general of the armies. Now, history says, did he want that position? By all accounts, he wanted to be general. It wasn't a reluctant leadership, but it's much easier as a leader to go, I never wanted the leadership. So when challenges come up, struggles come up, he has a possibility of losing battles, and he lost many, many battles along the way. He can be like, I never wanted the position anyway. Very powerful place to defend your leadership, especially in crisis. Create a leadership image. How are you dressing? How are you acting? How are you being? King Louis the 14th of France, known as the Sun King because the court revolved around King Louis. He was a time of leading French fashion. He would make sure that he was always dressed in incredible clothing, custom made for him. He would constantly be changing the fashion, changing the trend by what he chose to wear. And all the nobles had to spend a large amount of money to keep up with the fashion that was being defined by him. So he created a leadership image in how he looked, how he walked, how he carried himself. Everything that he did was about creating this image, this aura of leadership that other people would aspire and look up to, which is why he became known as the Sun King. His light shined into every nook and cranny of France. His light touched the impact of every noble, every person wherever he went. The Sun King. Creating a leadership image that people aspire to, look up to, and are willing to follow. What could you do to increase your leadership image? Maybe it involves going and getting someone to give you fashion consulting devices to be able to help you find the right types of clothes, right types of shoes, right types of things to wear as an image consultant. Maybe it is how you carry yourself. Maybe it's even the car you drive, your letterheads, your logos. Are you positioning yourself as a leader with a leadership image that people wish to follow? So if you want to find out more in detail about these distinctions and the other ones from Living Visionary Leadership, then I suggest you come along onto the website frontiertrainings.com. Go and check it out and find out about this and all the other amazing courses. And if you like 3 days of amazing life-transforming training, go to the website, go to ptw.com. That stands for Play to Win. Go to ptw.com, come to our 3-day amazing course around the world and get to experience that training. You'll have a massive transformation in your life like it has for all the students I've been teaching for the last 13 years. So I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. My name's Swaine, and this is Breakthroughs Before Breakfast.